My mind just went 100 different directions. So.
Well, pick the one way, and you.
Okay. All right. Okay.
The most obvious. Yeah. And
wow.
I don't know. This person seemed really nice. He had a really nice dog. I was checking out the dog. That's what caught my eye, and then I saw this.
Was that also a furry?
The dog was not bald.
Welcome everyone to episode 84 of The Mashup, the best bourbon conversation you hear all week long. We're your hosts, Maasak, Anthony, and Steven. Hello, fellas.
Hello, you got them vocal cords warm tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Sounds like you've been talking a while. You've been talking a while?
Yeah. We have a little bit of a pregame to this episode.
Yeah, there's a little bit of talking going on. I mean, by a little bit, I mean a lot. But, there's nothing wrong with that. Fall is in the air, and I'm excited. There's two things. There's one thing I'm excited about, which is I do like when the weather changes. I like the cold weather. I'm a parka guy. I love to wear parkas. I know it's a little weird, but
a little on the nose since I'm Alaska native, but I respect it.
You respect that?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. As long as you respect it, it's okay. But what fall things are always fun? What are the fall things that you guys like to do?
Took my son to Bywater Farms in Georgetown, and we had a great time. You got the petting zoo, you got the big long slide, you got the corn maze. He's definitely afraid of corn mazes.
Has he ever gotten lost?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
With his mother, bless her heart. And he's just so scared. He'd like grip onto my hand, and he's like, "Daddy, we're going to get lost." I'm like, "Look, bro,
you can walk through the walls."
Yeah. Yeah. He didn't care. He's just so anxious. And I felt so bad because his friends were there. My neighbors were there. Shout out to the churches. They just, he just couldn't get past the fact that we were going to get lost in this corn maze. Yeah. And he was just going to be scared. And so we finally get out of it. And we go up to get a drink. It was really hot. So we went and got a drink. And there's
you talking like a cider or an alcoholic drink?
No, I just got a couple of waters and gave him a Mountain Dew so he could rage for a little bit with his neighbor friends.
Very good, very good.
Play a little Connect 4, the life size Connect 4. It was a good time.
Oh yeah.
But we sit down and like the table.
They have a new Connect 4 out.
Really?
It is a spinning Connect 4.
Oh, where
you kind of drop the piece on the top, and then I think you like kind of flick it. It has a rod to the middle, and so your piece up and down, will stop. And so where you put it on top, man, it actually be on the bottom.
Interesting.
Yeah, that was very cool.
Okay.
I'm actually dizzy listening to this, so carry on.
So we sit down, and my neighbors are having some food, and there's a furry there.
What?
Yeah. Have y'all had any like live
in person
experiences
during the day
with real life furries during the day?
No.
It was neat.
It was neat.
So can I interrupt for a minute?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a sheltered academic guy, and I don't even know what you're talking about. I have no idea. Steven seems to know. You are obvious, but I have no idea.
Why is it so obvious that I know about furries?
Well, the way you said it, you just said it like I'm supposed to know.
It out in
Am I supposed to know?
Okay, yeah. Well, it's like a big noggin, right? Like a furry head of like a whatever furry kind of animal. In this case, it's like a fox or a cat or something.
Okay.
And then, I didn't really notice. I thought it was just a big noggin, cool hat,
Okay.
And it's realistic, so you can kind of, you can see through it, obviously, from the inside, or you'd be bumping into things.
But where is this hat at? It's on a person?
So it was on the table next to the person that was wearing it.
Think of a mascot.
Okay.
Yes.
And people dress up like it. And they may or may not do other things as they dress up.
In real life.
Oh, geez. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. My mind just went 100 different directions. So.
Well, pick the one way, and you.
Okay. All right. Okay.
The most obvious. Yeah. And
wow.
I don't know. This person seemed really nice. He had a really nice dog. I was checking out the dog. That's what caught my eye, and then I saw this.
Was also a furry?
The dog was not bald. So, it's like, oh, look at the dog. And then I looked over, and there's like a big furry head next to it. And then she got up and left, and there was like a tail wagging, and the ears were perked up. And it was, it was neat. And, people were obviously like enamored by it. So they were taking pictures, and I'm sure they were sending it to their significant others on Snapchat.
I can't imagine all the like old ladies that were there. with this going on.
Like, what is that?
The country old ladies.
Fox? Yeah.
Like, what in the kids these days?
Right, haven't been. But like apparently, one of my neighbors saw her like taking pictures at where you go do the family pictures. So shout out to her, man. Going out there on a furry whim and posting her fall pictures, man, in the fursuit. Good for you, darling.
Nice.
This is intense. That's like the craziest Bywater Farm thing that I've ever heard in my life. I mean, that's the one in Georgetown, right?
That's right. Yeah, it's a really cool spot.
You got to cross that bridge when you get across.
A little sketchy.
It is sketchy because it's like
Very
one way,
small.
and people are like speeding back and forth. So you're like, you're playing chicken with people trying to get to this kid, a family friendly function, and you could get knocked off the bridge right into the creek at any time. That's Elkhorn, right?
It's like you're coming off the country road going 55.
Yeah.
You immediately turn and you almost have to go to like 5 miles an hour to go over the bridge.
I did have an interaction. I'm driving a Ram pickup, man. Your BMW ain't going to do nothing here. Buddy.
Yeah. And then there's always and they got that police officer sitting out there using.
There was no police officer that day.
When I was there on the weekend, they had a police officer sitting out there, and like the whole thing was messed up traffic and everything. He's just sitting there like on his computer, like, yeah, what's up, And I'm like, this is ridiculous.
I'm participating.
Yeah, it was just, but yeah, Bywater's a good spot. But I mean, I'm really, you guys educated me today. I didn't know anything about this.
All the furries out there, they're very furry friendly. At Bywater.
All right. So they had the rabies shot and stuff. So, Anthony, we had one review today, and the name was very familiar.
Oh my God, this is ridiculous. So, we had a review from Lando Charles, and if you guys have ever heard us talk about Lando Charles before, it's Landon, who's a friend and a listener of the podcast, but he left a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and said, "These guys are awesome, very entertaining to listen to. Always nice to hear about some bottles that you don't hear very often. Make sure you don't listen in the car too loud, because for some reason, when I do, there's a stench that comes from the speakers." When I read this, I was like, I instantly sent him a message and said, "Hey, what the heck are you doing, man, with this review?" And he said, "Payback."
Ooh.
And I said, "What?" And I thought about it, and I'm thinking, like, we participate in enthusiast markets, right? And so as a participant in enthusiast markets, when you make a trade or when you sell things for tokens, people ask for references. And I am a prolific person at giving the most ridiculous, over-the-top references. So I think the last time that old Landon asked me for a reference, I said something ridiculous about us beating each other up and having multiple beers and whatnot. And, this is like a national market where you're going by people's word on what they think. And so people got to see us and be like, either these people are great friends or these guys are completely dysfunctional. So I think that must be his payback through his review to us. So that's cool. We still thank him for the review.
Yeah.
And that's a little fun get back.
It's funny because you guys can't see it, but underneath my sweatshirt, I have a Kentucky for Kentucky shirt. It says Bourbon Breath.
Oh, nice. There you go. There's the stench.
There you go, Lando. Bourbon Breath coming for you, boy.
There you go.
And if anyone else wants a shout out, please leave a review on Apple Podcast or Facebook. And next time we record, we'll give you a shout out. So, gentlemen, for this week, we have a special bottle I have not seen before. For this week, we have a bottle of Smooth Ambler's Founders Cask Strength Series, the bourbon whiskey.
So this comes to us from Smooth Ambler Distillery in Maxwellton, West Virginia. The bottle date on this one is 2022. The ABV is a blistering 61.8, coming in on 123.6 proof. The age is 6 years. The mash bill is 71% corn, 21% rye, and 8% malted barley. And the MSRP is, I think, about $60 on this. Is that true?
That's around about 60. Depending on where you get it.
Yeah. And here we go.
So what do you think about this bottle? It looks pretty standard, except for the nice and raised lettering on it. It kind of reminds me of like the A's.
Oh, yeah.
Or with White Sox.
Like an MOB logo, even. Yeah, that's handsome.
It does. It looks like if I saw SA overlaid like that, I would say San Antonio.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's not that they have a San Antonio thing, but
it's a weird thing to have on a whiskey bottle.
Yeah, exactly. I'm an idiot. It's okay.
But are they starting to produce whiskey now?
Maybe.
Are we thinking
I wouldn't
about
put it past them.
the shape here? This is actually not the standard shape. Is it? No.
Nope. So, glassware has been a continued theme for most whiskey, distilleries, and basically everybody that uses glass. I mean, there's been a glass shortage, so I don't know if that had anything to play with it, but I think it's handsome. I think it serves a good purpose. I do miss the elongated wine bottle-esque stature of their Smooth Ambler Old Scout line, but this is going to be segregated from that, right? So this is going to be their own flagship whiskey from the Calm Still, and I like it a lot. It's very paper label with a beautiful picture of the distillery there.
Is that the distillery?
That's the distillery.
Not just some Joe Blow's farm?
No, that's the distillery.
Okay.
Yeah.
It actually, I like the contrast of the. I'm kind of partially colorblind, but it looks to me like a bluish purple.
No, that's pink and green.
Is it pink and green? Oh, jeez. You guys, you got me. Damn it. Again. It's happened again.
That's funny.
But the gold accents really stand out to me. I like gold accents. I'm very... and then it's actually raised. The label's embossed and raised, which is nice. So I'm over here feeling it. For those of you who can't see at home, I'm like really caressing this bottle. It's really nice. I'm trying to get my hand all over it and feel it out. But it is very nice looking. And then the other thing is this says batch number 1. Mm-hmm. And so how long ago was this released? Because I've never seen this in a store, and I don't even think it's on their website.
Quick thing. I like how 1 is actually spelled out.
Oh, yeah.
And not just the number 1.
Yes,
right.
exactly.
O-N-E,
they write like 1 on
because that's only going to be on so
exactly.
many bottles before they go to numbers.
Right.
So that's pretty cool.
Well, and I believe all those labels are handwritten as well. So
It looks like it.
They have their bottling facility in their distillery is very unique in that they have bottled by.
I like it. I think it looks great.
Yeah.
I mean, having known what the wine bottle looked like for years and seeing other companies that have sourced stuff and then they go to a new label or a new packaging, I think they did a nice job with this.
Yeah, it was released in 2022, right? So this is really their first batches that came off the column from 2015. Some of the earlier batches from that, and it's I believe a 12 to 15 bottle blend or barrel rather blend. But there's a really good story behind Smooth Ambler, and I'm a big fan of them.
Yeah, so I want to hear more about this because my experience with Smooth Ambler went from like the highest of highs, then the lowest of lows. And so to contextualize this, I had some of the old stuff, then like the old MGP source stuff that people rave about. Then I had some stuff that was distilled by them. I'll just say this, I'll save my review here, but it was called Big Level. I was not a huge fan. Then I had some more source stuff that came from Dickel. Then I just kind of had a smattering, and I was kind of wondering what was going on. And then I saw him start sourcing young MGP stuff. So I'm super excited to find out a little bit more about how this bottle came to be and what we're actually going to be tasting, because I've always held them in high regard, and the biggest hit to me was Big Level. It really upset me as a person, because I was really getting into whiskey at that time when that was released. Like I was starting to like really turn a corner and feel like I knew what I was doing, and then I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I just spent whatever it was, $60 for an allocated bourbon at wherever it was, total wine. So anyway, let's hear something about Smooth Ambler here.
I mean, Big Level, is widely regarded as not so good.
Yeah.
It's from the runs in their pot still, and you can't hit a home run every time, right? And that's just kind of the growing pains that you don't have to have with growing distilleries. Big Level may not be up most people's alleys, and I'm not afraid to say I'm not a big fan of it either.
Yeah.
But I think they're really turning the corner here with their column still, right? I mean, the difference between pot still and column still in process is a massive increase in quality, because you can continuously still or distill larger batches, whereas pot still you only got so much, right? So, and it's a cleaner type of distillation process, which makes which gets an end result of a better new make, right?
Okay.
And they're kind of they were doing a wheated bourbon, whereas now they're on a high rye bourbon. or a rye bourbon, and they're doing some rye stuff as well that I look forward to reviewing. But overall, I mean, they're really paving the way for their own Founders Cask Strength whiskeys, and I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with it.
Well, Steven and I are big fans of the Wellers, right, Steven?
The Wellers?
Yeah, the Wellers.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of people are big fans of the Wellers. Do you think that maybe they were trying to capitalize on the Wellers? Do you think maybe, I mean, I know
I don't know why you wouldn't.
Why wouldn't you? And I feel like maybe, do you think that's what happened there? They're like, we can make a weeded bourbon and it'll be like the best because it's weeded. Or do you think it was
I wouldn't presume to know what John Little and company was doing at Smooth Ambler with Big Level, but I know that their contradiction was implementing a lot of their own distillate with other macerated distillates, right? So they would mix MGP and Dickel and some other distillates that you were naming earlier to make the contradiction. But
you mentioned the column still is an upgrade for them in terms of what they were doing with distillation. But I've tried to convince Steven all these years that we've known each other now. He wants to put a pot still, contraption in his backyard. I'm trying to convince him to do column still, right? I mean, he's the engineer. I mean,
he's been talking about it since day one. Right? I met him and he's like already trying to get me to do this.
Well, first of all, I would never say distill anything without a proper license and clearances, right?
Oh, this is going to be bootleg.
You are
Yeah,
way too cautious, Maasak. Like, I don't know what you're thinking. Steve and I are thinking bigger than this. We're thinking about, the bootleg shine from the garden.
The biggest difference between column still versus pot still is that column stills allows continuous distillation, meaning they're capable of drastically higher production than pot stills, which require cleaning after each bottle. Column stills also provide a purer, cleaner distillate than pots. Through pot stills, produce a more flavorsome spirit, richer in congeniers. So that was straight from Google, by the way.
You Googling over here.
But
you didn't learn the dangers of Google from last episode of what you can find on there? I mean, gosh, with the van, have you learned anything?
Man, if I didn't Google anything, I wouldn't know anything.
Oh,
right?
man.
But no, I'm really excited about their columns. Calm still distillates, and it's fair to say that they learned a lesson during their pot still runs, right?
Yeah.
And Big Level may not have hit every palate in the nation in good favor, but we're going to review this Cask Strength Bourbon, and I hope we can turn the corner in that.
Should we go for our first notes?
I'm not quite sure what I'm picking up on the nose. Like at 123 proof, there is a fair amount of ethanol, but
really,
so
I'm not getting that.
You're not getting any?
For the listeners out there, I'm going to ask Anthony to do something for me.
Yeah, please.
Use a little technique. You pop the glass there, where you cover the Glencairn, whatever vessel that you're holding your whiskey in, and then coating. The goal is to coat the inside of your glassware so you can get a better nose for what's going on there. But Maasak, what about the ethanol? What about the booziness? It's also going to accompany that popped glass. Well, all you got to do is blow a little bit with your nose inside the glass, kind of like a dog does when he's clearing his nose, like.
That. I got it. Yeah.
Pop that a little bit in there with the ethanol, pops out, right? And it leaves all those nice flavors and aromas in that glass for you to pick up on.
Yeah, it's kind of more citrusy now, actually.
Sure.
Catching some citrus.
It's rather earthy to me a little. Of course, there's a lot of top end sweetnesses. That's kind of the obvious. But to me, I'm big on textures, and for this one is more of an earthy green apple kind of texture in that. Heavy cane sugar sweetnesses, right? You can get a little of that cardamom. You can get a little cinnamon burst.
Bro, come on, cardamom. That's exactly what I'm smelling.
Sure,
it's like legit. That is it. That's what I'm smelling. Because listen, my
what
wife
is that?
My wife is Indian, right? So I'm very familiar with the smell of cardamom from cooking and from this palate cleanser they have in the culture, and it totally smells like that. It's like I really don't know how else to describe it, but it smells a lot like cardamom.
So with me getting like a caramel peanut.
That's kind of in the realm, yeah.
Okay.
Because I'm thinking of there are okay. So for lack of better we don't want to go down this road, but like an Indian spice peanuts that you get, some of them are spicy, some of them have more like the flavors of a lot of different herbs and spices that you cook with. And this definitely has that massively. That's not even power suggestion. I know you like to say power suggestion, but I'm definitely smelling.
Well, I was thinking that before. I don't even know what that word is that you guys are using. So there's no suggestion here.
Next time we record, I'm bringing over some cardamom, and you're gonna crack it and smell it, and put it next to this, and you're gonna smell it.
I'm actually really impressed. I'm getting like almost 0 ethanol for the proof. I don't know if it's just my old nose. It's worn out.
No, I think you got a great nose. You got a better nose than I do.
But I'm enjoying sniffing this. I'm not getting burnt.
There's a lot going on, right?
There
I mean,
is.
there's so many different spice profile mixing with the sweetness and the lower end sweetness. I mean, there's it's a really complex whiskey, and I'm excited to be bragging about these guys, especially on this first release.
And that little technique about blowing it out, kind of clearing the glass. I'm not gonna say more peanutty or caramelly, but I got more of those. The flavors just kind of accentuate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I remember the old Smooth Ambler picks, and at that time there was a lot of stigma associated with non-Kentucky distilled stuff, and so present day MGP is thought of as like massively great, especially well aged. MGP is great stuff, but at once upon a time there were people pass it up. Like, I will never forget this. I was at Liquor Barn for a release. So Liquor Barn, local store here, now owned by a big parent company. I'm waiting in line, and that day was Weller 12, right? Everybody was after Weller 12. Well, my buddy was like,
after it.
It's still after it. I was going to say, Steven's about to chime in on that one. Yeah. I'm getting you that Weller 12.
I don't believe it.
No, you don't believe it? Okay. Maybe the holiday season this year you'll be visited by one of Santa's elves, maybe. We'll see.
Oh, St. Wellers.
There you go. St. Wellers.
And it's 12 reindeer?
There you go. Everybody was waiting for that, though. And so I got there a little bit late that day. I remember this is probably 2019, so we're far enough along to know what good bourbon is and what, like for most enthusiasts. However, my buddy was about 5 ahead of me in line, and we were trying to be respectful, not cut or whatever. And he got like the last bottle of Weller 12. So I'm like, oh man, what's going to be left on the counter for me? I get up there's an 11-year-old Old Scout Smooth Ambler pick, and it's probably one of the last of the run because it was toward the
tag,
end. Well, this was an 11. I have the bottle still at home because I drank it, and I picked it up, and legit half the people behind me was like, "What's that?" They were just like, "What's that?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's good stuff." And they were like, "No, I ain't gonna pay $80 for that or whatever it was." And I was like, "Okay, all right." And then they were picking up like other bottles like Eagle Rare and stuff over it because they just didn't know what it was.
Yeah. Smooth Ambler had 14-year single barrel picks.
Oh, I know. They had all that good stuff. I missed out on a lot of it, but I'm just saying that particular day, even then, people did not appreciate what it was. They just didn't care.
Should we go for our first taste? I take my statement from earlier back about not getting ethanol.
Oh, you got some
it comes in hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
My predominant tasting note is actually like an orange zest. I don't know where that comes from, but it's like you get your classic toasted oak flavor to me. Maybe a little bit of. I'm trying to think. It's not like really. It's kind of your caramel, but I get like on the sides of my palate. I'm feeling a lot of like you said stewed fruit. It's like very orangey to me. Like, I don't know why. And I could be just messed up here, but that just seems like it's there. I like it. I like the flavor of it. And it does have a little bit of ethanol punch too, but it's very interesting, complex whiskey for sure.
I see what you're saying about the citrus there. Definitely a lot of citrus going on. And that may be predominantly where that bitterness that's a little off-putting to me comes in. And oak tannins too. I mean,
is that what it is?
I think so. I mean, some kind of tannins, right? It could be oaky.
It is tannins because it's drying.
Yeah, draws you up too.
Yeah, draws you up and it's
kind of draws you up and keeps you there, and that tannins just kind of takes over.
Yeah,
where that proofing.
I think about the fact that when you use any kind of a zest in cooking, you get that kind of same flavor, and it's very complex. Like, I mean, let's put it this way. we're used to tasting, I would think we're used to tasting different kind of whiskeys, but you get similar flavors over and over again. This seems like it's got a lot going on in a good way.
Kind of a different animal now.
Yeah, each sip is different, which is nice.
And, it's 1,000 feet, around about 1,000 feet more in elevation, right? They're in the mountains of West Virginia.
For the aging.
And, they maturated all in Max Welton there. So maybe that has a little bit to do with it. I know the humidity and the barometric pressures and, the temperature fluctuations can vary a little more drastically in mountainous areas. Maybe that's what we're tasting here. I don't know.
Get back to this taste. I'm not getting much of it. It's just hot. I think I can taste the orange a little bit you're talking about, but it's kind of abrasive, the palate.
Well, it is a 6-year-old distillate at 123.6 proof.
Yeah.
So if we were progressing through this, I think the next recommendation would be drops of water to proof it down a little bit, but perhaps maybe a cube to get some flavors accentuated. But
so you're just getting booziness?
Yeah, it's just a lot of ethanol. It's just hot. But then I'm still enjoying nosing it, which is the funny part.
The more I taste this, the more it tastes like almost like old fashioned in a glass, which is pretty amazing.
That's so funny. I'm getting none of that.
Really?
Yeah.
That's the thing about whiskey, though, right? Whiskey is a very subjective tasting experience.
So, gentlemen, would you pass, try, or buy on the Smooth Ambler's Founders Cask Strength Series bourbon whiskey?
I'm going to go first on this one. So, my history, like I said earlier on, highs to highs, lows to lows. This is the first time trying something from them where it's their own distillate and everything else. And I feel like I'm going to be a Tri Plus. And the reason why I'm a Tri Plus is because, and I like to give the Tri Plus because there's a lot of quality to this whiskey that I really like. I do love fashioned. I can't even say that, but it's all good. You get the idea.
Old fashioned.
Definitely not any fascist, right?
High whiskey.
Yeah, and it reminds a lot of the notes remind me of that. The tasting is there, and I do like that. I do like zest. I like oranges. So the reason why I'm not 100% a buy is because I want to know that this is going to be same from batch to batch. And if it's going to wildly vary, then I'm not sure. This is batch one. If it's going to be a consistent product, then I'd probably be a buy.
I think I'm going to cut mine down the middle. My experience here tonight. I enjoyed the nosing, and I didn't get much out of the tasting. So I think I'm just going to be a try on this.
Okay.
Probably give another go around, especially enjoying the nosing as I did. I'm sure someone else will enjoy the palate as well. So I think I'm going to say a try.
I liked it.
Well, Smooth Ambler took a big swing on this, right? It's their first iteration of cask strength bourbon. It's something they're going to build their foundation on, right? It's the Founder Series. I'm going to buy it. I like the nose a lot. I think what you said earlier, Anthony, about it being so unique that it's different, right, from most bourbons out there. I think that's what they're going for. And with the 12 to 20 barrel blend, I think they're just going to start really showing the industry what West Virginia can produce, and if that's going to be the same cookie cutter bourbon that we're used to, I hope not. So it's really promising to see it on the nose. So I'm a buy it. But I see what you're talking about, man. I mean, it can be very off-putting, Steven. As far as that boozy kind of overwhelming, and what I mentioned earlier about like the jaw faucets, like you take a sip and it's just like. Wow.
Well, I've had a little difficulty talking this evening on some of the intros that we've done, so I don't know if something's going on with my throat or something or my taste buds, but so that's why I think I'm gonna be a try, just because. Sure. I really enjoy the nosing of this thing.
It's great. It's great to have on your bar too.
I don't know if something's going on with me with sinus or something that I just not getting the tasting out of it, but
I think it'd be great to have something different on your bar too, right? A little taste of West Virginia, almost heaven, right? In the bottle there.
And with that, thanks for listening to this week's edition. Please like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Mashup KOI. Also, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. Until next time, keep it neat.